You're working harder as a business owner than you've ever worked before, but your customers are happy, your diary is full, and yet somehow at the end of every month, there's barely anything left. If this sounds familiar as a business owner, because if it does, the problem is almost certainly not your product, your marketing, or how hard you're grafting. The problem is your pricing. And after 20 plus years building, growing and selling businesses, making millions along the way, I can tell you that pricing strategy is the single biggest area where small business owners leave money on the table. Not just a little bit of money, thousands, sometimes tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands a year. So right now, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to price a product or service properly, and the psychology behind why customers actually buy, and the specific pricing mistakes I see business owners making time and time again, over and over again, that are quietly destroying their profit margins. Stop copying your competitors. I mean it. This is the number one pricing strategy mistake I see everywhere, and it is losing business owners tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands a year. What most business owners do when they set their pricing is they go online, they look at what, 3, 4 or 5 of their competitors are charging. They pick a number somewhere in the middle of it all, and or worse, they pick the lowest number and they call that a pricing strategy. It feels safe, it feels logical, but it is a terrible way to price anything, and I'll tell you why. You have no idea what your competitors' costs look like. You have absolutely no idea what their margins are. You have no idea whether they are actually making any money out of that pricing, or maybe they're slowly going bust. You might be copying the pricing of a business that's 6 months away from closing. That is not a strategy. And even if they are doing well, your business is not their business. Their overheads are different. Their value proposition even is going to be different. Their customers might be completely different to yours. When you price based on competitors, you are not building a pricing strategy. You are just copying randomly someone else's homework without knowing whether they actually got the answers right. What you should be doing instead is understanding what your product or service is actually worth to the person buying it, and that's a completely different question to what does it cost me to deliver it, or what is somebody else charging. Nobody has ever bought anything purely because it was the cheapest option. Think about that for a second. If price was the only thing that mattered, we would all drive the cheapest car, we'd wear the cheapest clothes, and we'd eat the cheapest food. We do not. People buy based on value, and value-based pricing is not about what it costs you as a business owner. It is about what the outcome is worth to the customer. Let me give you a real example. I worked with a consultant who was charging that, £300 a day, I think it was. His competitors charged roughly the same. Everybody sort of charged the same. But when we actually looked at what his clients got from working with him, one engagement would typically save those clients somewhere between £15,000 and £20,000 in operational costs over the following year. He was charging 300 quid for a day that was worth 20 grand or more sometimes to his customers. His pricing was completely disconnected from the value that he was delivering. So we restructured this pricing strategy together in one of my rapid advice sessions. We moved him away from day rates completely, and within 3 months his revenue had nearly doubled, with fewer clients, better clients and less work. That is how to price a service properly, and it works for products too. If you sell something that saves people time, makes them money or solves a painful problem, your price should reflect that outcome, not your input costs. So work out what the result is worth to your customer and then charge a fraction of that. If your service saves someone 10 grand, charging 2,000 is a bargain, right? And they will happily pay it. Now, I'm not saying that market research and the market and competitors don't matter. Of course they matter, and of course you should take that into account when pricing, but it isn't the only factor. So have a more smart pricing strategy. It will help you grow your business profitably. You're scared to raise your prices as a business owner. I know you are, because almost every business owner I work with in my advice sessions is. They think every customer will leave. They think they will price themselves out of the market. They think people will go to their nearest cheaper competitor. And I understand that fear because I've felt that myself many, many times. But here's actually what happens when you fix your pricing strategy. You raise your prices. You may lose a few of your most price sensitive customers. You know, the ones who are the hardest to deal with anyway, the ones who haggled on everything, they paid late, they consumed the most of your time. And the rest, well, they stay because they were never buying on price in the first place. They were buying on trust, quality, convenience, and the relationship that you've built over time. And they were buying based on the result they've got. And now you are the one making more money from fewer clients with less stress. That is not theory. This is what I've seen happen dozens, hundreds of times with real businesses that I work with. So do you know if your price? How do you know if your pricing is too low? Well, there are a few obvious signs you need to look out for. If nobody ever pushes back on your prices, you're too cheap. If you're fully booked months in advance, great as that is, you're too cheap. If your customers regularly tell you that you are great value, that's code for, yes, you've guessed it, you are too cheap. And if your profit margins are thin at the end of every month, despite you being super busy, then your pricing strategy is broken. So start with your next customer. You don't have to change everything overnight. You don't have to change every client and put every client's pricing up, but test a higher price and see what happens. I promise you the response will surprise you. It really will. Forget round numbers as a business owner. Most small businesses completely ignore pricing psychology, and it costs them money when pricing their business, and they're losing money because of it every single day. There are a few principles around pricing that are proven to influence how customers perceive your prices, and they cost you absolutely nothing to implement. So let's look at the first pricing strategy, charm pricing. A product at £9.97 feels meaningfully cheaper than one at £10, even though the difference is 3p. Your brain processes the first digit and anchors on that. This works for lower price points, and it works everywhere from supermarkets to software. Now, I know this strategy has gone a little bit out of fashion, and some people say it doesn't make any difference. The psychology is proven. It does make a difference. So make sure you include it in your pricing strategy, particularly for lower priced products. The second pricing strategy we need to discuss is anchoring. This one is massive. If you want somebody to buy your mid-tier option, show them the expensive one first. If your main service is, I don't know, £2,000, then put a £5,000 option, premium option above it on your pricing page. Suddenly £2,000 feels reasonable, right? You are not trying to sell the expensive one. You are making the real one feel like a smart decision on the part of the customer. So next, remember the power of 3. Offer 3 pricing tiers, a basic, a mid, and a premium. Most people will pick the middle one because it feels like a sensible, safe option. If you only offer one price, people have a binary decision, yes or no. Give them 3 options, and the decision becomes which one of those 3, not whether or not they're going to buy it, not yes or no. These are not just tricks on pricing. They're not just pricing tricks. These are genuinely how people make buying decisions. Psychology is proven around this. And the businesses that understand that pricing psychology almost always outperform the ones that do not, every single time. So if you need to sort out your pricing, then I can help you do that with my rapid advice sessions. Just you and me, 1 hour, and I'll get you a strategy in place. These sessions are deliberately low cost to be accessible to everyone, but I only do a few a week, and there can be a wait list. So if you think spending an hour with me, someone who's been starting, growing, and selling businesses successfully for 20 plus years, if you think that's going to help you with your business and your pricing, then check out the link in the bio or description. Thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it and listening to me go on and waffle on. Until the next time, bye for now.